Well, hey everybody, as I promised, today is Friday, March 29th, and I'm back. I needed a lot of rest. This was an incredible week at the NFL 2019 NFL annual meeting. It was also an incredible week of travel and, well, all that stuff. And it was also an incredibly eventful week in the NFL and for the Raiders as well within that. As you know, if you're paying attention, and of course, the Raiders just add Isaac Kroll, a running back, and Brandon Marshall, a linebacker. More pieces to the puzzle. Jordy Nelson, who had already been cut from the Raiders, announced he was retiring. And so if you think about it, from running backs to particularly wide receiver, tight end, Lee is gone. The Raiders on offense and much of, but not entirely, fortunately, not all of the defense, but in particular the offense, are an almost entirely new team, okay? And just signed Lou Wilson as a tight end, thank you. But my point is, and that I'm glad you presented that because it underscores the point that I'm about to make, that I came away with in listening to Coach Gruden, and that's that, yeah, Coach is always explaining why, he didn't necessarily explain, well, he explained why someone would be at it, like spent time talking about, of course, Vontaze Burfict and others. But you don't know how these new players are going to respond when, as they say, live bullets start flying, okay? And I would prefer a situation where the Raiders had a solid core of participants and Coach Gruden could say, all right, this year we did this, or rather last year we did X. This year we're going to do Y. And I don't mean be specific about it, but in terms of just general goals. I'd like to get, like, for example, with Lee, I'd like to get him split out more, or I'd like to get him this, or I'd like to get him that, or not just Lee, but a tight end that we got in the draft that had a longer-term contract than a year or two, okay? But all these 1 year and 2 year contracts, they're making me dizzy. And this team is starting to take on the characteristic of a Frankenstein team, all right? Okay, and yeah, we have all these backup quarterbacks that didn't work out, as one of the viewers just pointed out. How can you expect to win? Okay, that's my concern. My concern is, can you really expect, realistically, to win with this hodgepodge group? It doesn't. It looks weird. I can't. It's difficult for me to paint a picture that says, all right, this Raiders squad is going to produce wins. All right. That's I'm panting in part because I'm also trying to tweet this out, but and I'm trying to say that basically this. I hesitate to say this, but because I don't want to say it. All right, I just don't want to. But it feels like a. And I don't want to say this. It feels like a 7-9 team. I want to say 9-7. I'm not making a solid prediction, but there's no core. I don't see the core. I see a lot of new faces, and I remember when the New York Giants went out and spent something like $80 million on free agents. I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, and got nothing out of them. They were penciled in as Super Bowl champions by some in the media, and they turned out super flat. Nothing. On the other hand, you could point to the LA Rams, which had a nice mix, but even then with the Rams, what they had that was notable was an approach that worked offensively. And what they had, when you looked at the monsters on the team, the monsters were on defense. Now, the Raiders have a monster on offense. 2 monsters. They have Brown and Brown. But who do you point to on defense where you can say these guys are going to stop people? See, the Rams didn't have that issue. Okay? Between Suh and, of course, other players like the highest paid defensive end in the league now, you didn't have that issue. And you still don't have that issue. But with the Raiders, I can't see it. Joseph Armendariz, how you doing? Says he wasn't excited by the Isaac Crowell signing. Aaron Donald, thank you. I'm talking about Aaron Donald. It's funny how you try to mention somebody, you can see their face, and like Aaron Donald, I can see his face, I can see the 99, but I couldn't for the life of me pull his name out of my cranium. Aaron Donald. But I was also thinking about other people that the Rams had signed who, like Aqib Talib, all right, who were proven players elsewhere that they assembled into a great working defensive group. They were all playmakers without question. And to me, it's easier to do that on defense than offense. On offense, particularly if you have an intricate system that the Bill Walsh system is, or supposed to be, you want players that have played together in it. You want a quarterback and a receiver that have been together for longer than just a few months. And the Raiders don't have that. Amari Cooper, gone. All right, we know the story there. I am not dissing the signing of Antonio Bryant. I'm simply explaining that, I mean, I'm not, you take that, here's the problem, okay? The Raiders get you with the oohs and the ahs. Ooh, I got the Antonio Bryant. Ah. Ooh, I got the, and then you say Vontaze Burfict on defense, all right? But that's a risk. I mean, that's not like getting Ndamukong Suh in his prime. Because there are people who would say that they believe Burfict may have lost a step. But you didn't hear anyone saying that about Suh when the Rams got him. Everybody wanted him. The Raiders wanted him. Raider fans wanted him, all right? But no one was chasing after Vontaze to say this guy's going to land you a Super Bowl. It was more like, okay, he's an effective player. He's a nasty guy. Oh, because of that, he's either a Cowboy or a Raider. Remember that talk? But they're names. And it's almost, you know, it feels like to me, it feels like Mark Davis is in the background saying, I want you to bring players in here that people have heard of and a veteran team that can produce quick wins so I can bring a Super Bowl to Oakland and then get the heck out of here. That's what it feels like. It feels like Mike Mayock and Jon Gruden is scrambling around trying to make Mark Davis happy rather than building a truly sustainable winning team. That's really what this feels like. All right? Hey, John Akala, how you doing? And Citron says, like how they invested in those backup quarterbacks last year and didn't work out. Right. But not just last year, but the year before that. I mean, look, you've had E.J. Manuel roll through here, started for a second, didn't. We had McGloin. We had, of course, Derek Carr has been the mainstay. And we had A.J. McCarron last year, who really never played and didn't know the offense. He was just a placeholder. And now we have Nate Perlman. And you turn around, you look at these quarterbacks, you're thinking, what's going on here? I was asking Jon Gruden, are you trying? Last year you had Josh Johnson in for a second. Send out this signal that you're going to put in this mobile quarterback, and didn't. In fact, the quarterback, more often than not, except when John got a clue and decided to move him around, was left as a sitting duck. All right? Joseph Bandera says, we have the draft to look forward to. We can be optimistic about that, hopefully. What difference does that make? You're adding more new players. My point is, you keep adding players. Stop adding players. I mean, you know, this is fan foolery. It's like it's got you guys fooled. It's like, oh yeah, you know, hey, they've got all these new people. Well, that's the problem. There's no core. Who's the core? Where's the core? All right? There's no core. Citron says Bruce Irving, Michael Crabtree, Martavis Bryant. Yeah. Revolving door, okay? I said last year, get Cortland Sutton. If the Raiders had Cortland Sutton now, they wouldn't be hunting for, they wouldn't have had to get Antonio Bryant. You hear me? They would not have had to get Antonio Bryant. Cutting Amari Cooper and cutting Khalil Mack was done because of money reasons. But on the other hand, they also didn't handle it correctly. If they had the proper respect for Khalil Mack, they would have sat down with him and said, hey, look, here's our money situation right now. We want you as a Raider. Can we work out something until this clear to help us through this so we can help you at the back end? The Raiders did nothing like that. The Raiders acted like, well, you're under contract with us. Remember that? You're under contract with us. You're supposed to be in camp. In other words, boy, get in here. And see, NFL players they don't like that. Let me tell you something about what's happening in the league, all right, that you should really be aware of. And there's a guy, Darren Heitner, that's got a great blog on this, following the moves of agents and everything. But what he talked about is, hey, Vincent, hi. Vincent says, I love your channel. Thanks for keeping us updated. Thank you for the compliment. John Davis says, how can they afford Antonio Bryant? Well, that's the salary. That's that huge salary cap. But my point is that Darren Heitner revealed that there was a special meeting between players and NFLPA players and agents, about 90 agents. And what they were doing, let me go back and get this because I don't want to misrepresent what was happening here. It's really worth your hearing and understanding, okay? It really is. Let me try this a different way. But as I'm waiting for this to come up, the gist of the point was that the players felt like the agents were talking down to them, okay? The players understood the economics of the situation better than the agents did and said so. And eventually did vote for a measure that what was going on basically was there was a feeling that the agents were being compensated a little too well. At the end of the day, the players didn't stick it to the agents, but there was a feeling that that was going to happen. See, right now with the NFL system, as an agent, there aren't a lot of ways to make a great deal of money anymore like the past. If you get like a Patrick Mahomes, as Lee Steinberg did, God bless him, and Lee's got an investor group that's put about, I think $5 million, $5 to $7 million in him. All right, but there are some people who say, hey, that's a ton of money, but are they going to make their money back because of the scale? The agent business is a 3% business. You make 3% of what you do the work to generate. So that's 3% of, the veteran minimum, right? And that's $465,000, okay? So you're thinking about, all right, if that's $46,000 for, or thereabouts for a percent, you're looking at $120,000. Now, if you piece together these deals, you can probably eke out a living. But it's hard. So the agents are trying to make absolutely certain their share wasn't going to be cut into more. It was during those discussions that it was revealed that, hey, the players feel like the agents are talking down to them. And so I say that in the context of the Khalil Mack situation, where the Raiders didn't treat Mack like a partner. Many players want to be treated as really what they are, a partner in the running of an NFL organization. Because, look, they are this, I don't have to tell you this because it's absolutely true. The NFL player on the field is the pure and simple partner, is the product. What that player does spells wins or losses for the team that person plays on, okay? All right? And someone just chimed in here and said that that Mack held out for so long, Gruden didn't even think he would show once the season started. He didn't. Now, you could say, hey, part of that was his strategy, but the Raiders made it easy by not actually extending any real overtures. All right? I'm going to get, now you've got a substantial list of comments. I'll start with Hardcore Raider. He says, maybe the fact that you always hate on the Raiders, then go to the owners' meeting expecting Gruden to act like he doesn't know you all. Hate is a regular. What is this? That's a really stupid comment. Anyway, Justin Armendariz says, I don't see things changing until a new regime runs the Raiders. Certain Count says, doesn't agent also get percentage from deals like endorsements on other brands? Yeah, that's correct. John Davis says, Mack held out so long, Gruden didn't even think he would show once the season started, all right? John Acosta says, do you expect the Raiders to wait all the way to the April 1st deadline or to opt in or out for the 2020 season? I do. Yeah, I do. Hardcore Raider says, truth hurts facts. Well, here's the truth, Hardcore Raider. First of all, you have no idea what you're talking about, and that's about it, So I will say this, your comments actually make me money, so fine. But my other point is this. If you understand football, then you understand how to read where a team is going. You can talk about it. But if you're one of these people that sits there and you want to hear rah-rah, sis, boom, bah about something, you're not going to learn anything. learning comes when you disagree with people. Learning comes when you absorb information you don't necessarily want to hear. That's where learning comes in, okay? So I am not going to spend time with you because your behavior is childish. And since I don't know who you are, I have no feeling behind, what I have to say. You could be anybody. So beyond this, I'm not going to indulge you, all right? Because I don't have time to babysit. Sorry. Now, John Akala says, let's see here. John Akala asked me the deadline. I do expect the Raiders have always done this sort of thing. They have, they always push toward the end of the deadline. Look at the Leafs this year. Look at the situation last year. Look at the situation year before that. They've always done that. All right. John Davis says, so does Gruden seem all in on Derek Carr? I think about it this way. John is, to me, like a kid in a candy store, and he's got Mayock talking to him over his shoulder. I think they're looking for a quarterback that can be the heir apparent to Derek Carr. Because between both of them, they know that they only have so much time. My point is this. To replace Derek Carr right now, on top of all the other changes they made, is stupid. You've got Derek Carr working with Antonio Bryant, and so you're going to come in and then trade him? When the whole point, I thought, of getting Antonio Bryant was to have a situation with two Christian men who can work out and prepare for the season as partners and excel. So you already have that scenario. To trade Derek Carr right now would be foolhardy. I happen to believe that Derek Carr in the right situation can be an earth-moving quarterback. Schematically, he has not been in the right situation for some time. He hasn't been in a situation that calls him to be a pure passer, to have a pocket that moves, to have the ball for a short period of time. The Raiders need to practice the art and craft of passing. And the science of manipulating defenses to achieve the objective of an open receiver in the yards after the catch, or if it's a long ball, a touchdown, okay? I don't sense the Raiders under Gruden are about that. It's not that they can't be, and it's not that I'm going to stop sending plays to Jon Gruden, all right? So, let's see here. Raider D. Duffy says, I feel that Gruden is trying to sell Carr for next season. That could be. Patrick and Blackman says, Jon Gruden sounds like a used car salesman when it comes to the draft. Well, yeah, he does. Hey, Patrick, by the way, it's like, hey, I got this player over here. Perfect. Look at this. Hey, I got this. Right? Yeah. I mean, again, again, John Davis says, has Gruden talked to you about my plays? Yeah, many times. Our history with this goes back to 1998. And 1998, I wonder if I have that photograph. Let me see here. Zinni Abraham, Jon Gruden. I have that photograph somewhere, but images. And in 1998, I was Elihu Harris economic advisor. And my buddy, who I should call, Charlie Santana Jr., Here we go. I found it. Okay. This is how far back Jon Gruden and I go. For those of you who don't know. Boom. Right here. Okay. That is obviously Coach Gruden. This fellow, Pete, he was the cut doctor for Mike Tyson. He was good friends with my buddy Charlie Santana Jr. here, who brought me to this Raider party where I met Coach Gruden. I had a play idea. I was economic advisor to the mayor of Oakland, Hugh Harris. And I had a play idea that called for split in on the left, halfback wing next to the flanker on that side. So it was a, if you can think about it, split in was over here on the left. Halfback wing, and then the flanker, and then the offensive tackle, the guard, the center, the quarterback, okay, tight end over here, okay, and then the fullback here on the wing, all right? And so I had it so that the halfback goes in motion here, he'd come back, and we would stop. He would actually go up here. The flanker would come behind him and go this way, and then go out that way. Split in around this way. The whole point was to kind of get a, if you think about it, not a pick, but a rub, a cross action, so that the flanker was wide open in the flat. You catch a quick ball, run up, and gain the first down. That was the idea. That's the play. That's the play. That is a 20-year-old play design, folks. Okay, 21-year-old play design. All right. So I gave him that idea. Hey, unknown Raider guy, how you doing? I gave him that idea, but he said to me, hey, call the office, come by the office, let's do a let's do a whiteboard talk. Let's get on the whiteboard, right? That's what he said. And, you know, part of me didn't think he was serious, so I didn't call. The other part of me was massively busy with my own job, okay? So I didn't want to take company time to go on and do that, all right? I should have, but I didn't. I didn't want to do that on a taxpayer dime, all right? How's that? So I didn't. But I wasn't even thinking about it in that way at the time. Actually, I was. Because I didn't work out the time. Whatever the case, didn't happen. All right. So 98 goes by. 99, I tried to bring Super Bowl to Oakland. 2000, we lose to Jacksonville. I start my own media company and start covering the NFL draft. And, of course, Gruden is brought on to be a spokesperson by ESPN. He's at the draft. So I drew up the exact same plan to describe to you and gave it to him. You remember he started chuckling. So, oh, I'm sorry. Prior to that, there was this in-between part. Excuse me. 2004, you get to a certain point, like so many things happen to you, there are gaps. Let me fill in this gap. I was at the 2004 Lee Steinberg Super Bowl party in Houston, took my friend Rachel Sears, who was a professional triathlete. I was trying to get Octagon to hire as one of their models because she was really a true athlete, whereas somebody else they had, I will not mention, was more a model than an athlete, but that's another story. At any rate, we were wound up at the Lee Steinberg Super Bowl party, and I would say wound up because Lee's a friend of mine, as you know, if you watch this regularly. But I saw Jon there, and the last time I saw Jon was when I met him at the Raider event in '98, and I reminded him of the play ideas that I had, and he said, "Don't just stand there, get the damn napkin." Actually used the F term, but whatever. And I did, and I started drawing it up again, and we were talking about what the flanker would do. So, yeah, he's seen my plays. That wasn't the first time we talked. The last time was, because I didn't present a play this time. The last time was last year, and that was at the NFL annual meeting in Orlando when I gave him a play that was very similar to the design of play. It really was actually created by a guy named Ted Say, that where Marshawn Lynch ran for 60 yards and a touchdown for preseason. Only my design was out of shotgun and was actually a 3-option read option system. You either hand off to Marshawn or throw it to the flanker who was running a flat pattern, or you could throw it to split in on the fly. Okay, those were the primary choices you had as the quarterback. Running was a 4th option, either run or under one particular safety split scenario, throw it to the tight end down the middle. It's kind of a Swiss Army knife play, all right? But I broke it up into 2 because, as I told John, I felt that was too much for a quarterback to deal with and was prone to error. See, when you're designing a play, you have to make sure, you have to ask yourself, like, what primarily do I want this play to do? Okay? A lot of people forget that. And so you have announcers saying, oh, well, he doesn't see the field. Look, no quarterback has enough time to see the entire damn field because the blocking is collapsing on you, all right? It doesn't work that way. So I'm thinking of the pattern. What you have in many cases is when you call a pass play, it's called to the right or to the left. The primary receiver is on the right, generally with a design that features one receiver running a decoy pattern. Sometimes that receiver might be the alert because he's running deep. In other words, hey, he's running, he might score a touchdown. Watch him if he breaks open, okay? The second receiver is generally the primary receiver because the alert guy or the decoy guy is clearing out for the primary, all right? But you think about what I just told you, that takes time, right? You can't say, well, look over here. Oh, and they turn out, look over there. No. The way you do that is pre-snap, you say, hey, look, if I see the free safeties lined up, cheating over to the strong side, and I've got the strong safety down close to where he's going to chuck the tight end, and I've got the split in running an in pattern on the weak side, okay, then when I drop back, I'm thinking split in on the weak side because from what I want to do, the free safety is out of position, right? That's what I'm thinking. However, if the free safety goes back in the other position, okay, and I've got the tight end running an up pattern, then I'm going back to the tight end. So that's pre-snap. So that's how you handle that. Nobody designs a play where you're looking at the whole thing. That's ridiculous. Anybody who says that, please run, don't walk to the nearest exit. All right. So yeah, John Davis, Gruden has talked to me about my plays. Unknown Raider guy says, I think Raiders will be much better this season. How much better? You have to remember we're talking about 4-12. So you're saying what, 6-10? 8-8? Nice to see you there. Unknown Raider guy says, Raiders should focus on defense around by draft. Joseph Menendez says, by the way, what constitutes a media company? In other words, the average person can probably print out a media credential, but I suspect you have to be registered somewhere. Are you asking me how I wind up there? I mean, is that what you're asking? It's a bit of well, look, I don't really know how to answer this except to say this. In my case, I have a media company. I've been with the NFL since 2005. I was the first person to cover the league with a YouTube channel in 2006. I then brought in Ustream in 2007. I didn't create Zenny62 as a corporation, but unfiled for a particular reason in 2010, okay? So you want to have a website and a body of work and relationships. Really, it's about relationships. People who have seen what you do and they see its impact, and that's it. It's not a complicated process at all. You see, the vast majority of people in NFL media work for somebody else. There are only I don't even say it's a handful of people. I can think of 2 people who run their own websites and run their own companies. Steve Isbit, who I interviewed, a Joe Bucks fan, who I think is the model for running a blog business. And I really think that should be your question. Your question is, hey, how do you start? How do you grow your business, right? That's the question. I mean, to be frank with you, your question sounds more out of some sort of jealousy or like you shouldn't be there. The real story is how we built our businesses. Okay. And I don't think you meant it that way. Because text, it comes off a lot of different ways. But I was thinking about that because I skipped going to one particular dinner, private dinner, group dinner, because I really didn't feel like I was part of that group, all right? And I thought Steve Isbit and I could start our own group of basically NFL sports media bloggers or sports media platform runners. Sports media news producers, I think, is probably the better way to say it. I'll work it out in my head, but some kind of way, maybe just the NFL WordPress user group, because we both use WordPress as our CD and our content delivery network, right? And we talk a lot of shop about getting advertisers and sponsors and that sort of thing. So I know the guy says, is the video buffering or is it me? It's you. Joseph says, thanks. I like to learn new things. I was just asking because in my youth I used McGuire backstage passes and go to concerts and look pretty legitimate. So I'm just wondering. No, that's insulting. It's not a matter of looking legitimate. It's not a matter of looking. There are people who have press credentials to get into something and do nothing with them. Okay? And there are people who have press credentials to get in, all right, to make an impact. All right? And Joseph says, no, not at all. Yeah, it's just that I'm limited in text, so I try to compress my question. Okay, that's fair enough. At any rate, John Davis says, watch the video Gardner Minshew film analysis. The guy doing the video says the QB looks all over the field till he finds the play. I don't care what the guy says. Because if that guy and I were talking, I would say, that guy does not have enough time to do that. And he would agree. Anybody who knows, I don't care what a person says. Okay? You don't have enough time to do that. And all over the field, doesn't mean all over the field. I can show you 2 plays that I'm thinking of off the top of my head in the Bill Walsh offense that feature the tight end running an up pattern, the halfback running a Texas concept behind him. So you got 1, 2. And then the third is actually the flanker running the in pattern. Okay? So that's so if you think about it and you're looking at the quarterback's looking here, then here, and then here. All right? Steve Mariucci put it this way. He's put it to me this way when I interviewed him in '96 in his office when he was 49er coach. He put it to me this way, in the same way, when I interviewed him for an video on Zinni 62 here on YouTube. He said, this is how he looks at things. And this is a classic West Coast or Bill Walsh offense approach, all right? I break the huddle. First of all, the first thing I want to know is how am I lined up? So you look and you see if you're lined up correctly. That's the first thing. That's called wide field. Narrow vision. What's my key? That's predetermined in the play design. If I'm looking at the strong safety, where's the strong safety in relation to where I think the strong safety is supposed to be, or where we've agreed that he's supposed to be in this particular play? Where's the strong safety? I'm using strong safety as one particular example. It varies depending on the play, how you design the play, all right? So then, wide field again. What kind of defense am I facing? Is it an even front? What's an even front? That's 2 defensive tackles, middle linebacker. That's even. Odd, nose tackle. All right? Okay? Nose tackle. All right? Wide field. Then get the snap of the ball. Narrow vision. And go back. Look at my primary. Boom. Open. No. Come down to number 2. Boom. What is my key doing? My key pulling back. Boom. Then I release. You see how that goes? That's the Mariucci way of thinking. Okay? That's the Mariucci way of thinking. Now, Gardner Minshew plays in Mike Leach offense. And the way Mike Leach offense is, it's a little bit less, it's not structured like the Walsh offense. But even in Mike Leach's offense, the one thing that I know is that there's a key depending on that play and receiver. And there are rules depending on where the defensive backs are lined up. That's common in the Mike Leach offense. That's common. Now, there's nobody throwing a choke chain around a quarterback saying, okay, don't look in this direction. But you have to have a clock in your head. All right? You have to have a clock in your head that says, get rid of the ball here. This is not the 70s where you have 10 seconds to throw. You've got 2 at best. You cannot see the whole field. You have to do it this way. Before the snap of the ball, you look at where the defense is lined up. Then you make your decision where you're going to go depending on what your pre-snap read is and where your key is. Then when you drop back, you look at where the key is going with respect to your primary receiver. You make your decision. All of these have to be done quickly. You don't have time to make decisions on the fly. You should know where you're going to go with the football really by the time the ball is snapped. If you don't have that figured out, you got a major problem. And you're going to get sacked a lot. You're going to get hurried a lot. You're going to get a lot of batted passes. And you're not going to win. So I don't care what some Yahoo says. The simple fact of the matter is you don't have that kind of time. And a well-designed play never puts a quarterback in that situation. Ever. So, Joseph Arender says, I'm fascinated when someone goes to school for a certain discipline, then transitions to something else. Never only do one thing in life. Do multiple things. Have your own Swiss Army knife of skills. Joseph Arender says, that's why I love our Raider fans, a group of very diverse people. Okay, fine. Okay, anyway, turning to the stadium issue. Ooh. And I mean Las Vegas Stadium, okay? You have this fascinating exchange on Twitter I have to mention because the Las Vegas Review-Journal had put out, Rich Villada had actually put out an article that said the stadium would be delayed. And Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk referred to that And then all of a sudden, so did the Associated Press for some stupid reason. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, it's gone. Nobody can find it anymore. It's hilarious stuff. Where did it go? Where did it go? I mean, an exchange, and the exchange that was had on Twitter about this was just, I mean, it had me dying. Okay, it really had me dying. Okay, trying to see if I can find this Jedi Light Lower. Let's see, Jedi Rich Lightlower. It was on his Twitter account. And like I said, it was absolutely hilarious. And he had, let's see here. It's his pinned, pinned. Mornings like this. Oh, these guys get around. Okay, here it is, March 27th. It goes like this. It goes, here. This is hilarious, okay? Rich Villotta is tweeting the stadium completion date is once again set to July 31st, 2020. He claimed this only 2 hours after writing on the AP Wire that the stadium was delayed to August 4th, 2020 because your site inspectors determined it's so. Vegas Stadium says, what's going on? Okay. And then this tweet's unavailable. Okay. So, you had that out there. And in the response area, tweets and replies, he says, yeah, by the way, you see here. Oh, it's like this. A tweet can be deleted. The Las Vegas Stadium Authority oversees and sets the completion date, legally speaking, dollars. On Thursday, they send inspectors to the site, and they move the date to August 4th. Rick and the Review Journal are giving opinion. Their next meeting is May 23rd, 4 p.m. downtown. All right? And so, yeah, the tweet is unavailable from someone I blocked happily. But then he says, let's see here. Oh, the KC Post screen cap. I'm showing that when you wire something, then every news outlet from the city of Diddle-the-Eye Joe to Damned If I Know reports it, but a tweet can be deleted. By the way, me and my wife walk by the stadium almost every day. Go Raiders. So basically it was, yeah. So he had some guy out there who was basically saying that, oh, by the way, here it is. Okay. Did Rich retract his article because his name is all over the AP and SportsWire stating the stadium is delayed? And what about the oversight inspectors who went to the site and chose August 4th, 2020 for the new date? Is Rick now saying that never happened? What's going on? All right, I'll tell you what's going on. What's going on is basically that the Review Journal has been caught up in trying to parrot this party line that there's no problem with the stadium, and so it couldn't figure out what master was supposed to serve. Like, oh my God, what are we doing? Where's it going? What's going on? I don't know, because they're being a mouthpiece. That's what's going on. They're not saying, hey, look, this document says X, as I do, all right? And therefore, I'm sticking with that. As, for example, I'm sticking with October because the documents have said, there are a number of documents that say, first of all, the one contract says that the stadium will not be used the first 2 weeks of August. So all this jazz about there being a game August 6th, when nothing was actually scheduled, was ridiculous. No one bothered to read the document that said, hey, you know what? Nothing's going to be played there the first 2 weeks of August. That was written last year. that was written last year. They're just trying to parrot things. As someone told me at the NFL annual meeting, the Raiders don't like negative news about their project. They're different from the Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons handled negative news in such a way they turned it into a positive. They showed that they were transparent, that they were on top of things. They had it all figured out. When you don't allow the truth to get out, and it gets out, it always makes you look bad. Pure and simple, okay? Pure and simple. Oh, no, wait, guys, so it's August 2020? No, it's not. It's not certain, okay? The reason it's not certain is because, look, all you have to do is take a look at, and the reason why I up my eyes like that is look at this, okay? I'll show you what I'm talking about. Las Vegas Stadium. Now, someone put this up, this photograph I'm about to show you, as a example, saying that, oh, the stadium is really progressing well, and look at this, okay? The photograph that I'm about to show you, this is this one. Let me show you something with this, okay? This is March 26th. This one, all right? Now, what do we have about here that's notable? They're filling in this side. But take a look at what's missing. The same area that I've talked about is still blank. Something else that's missing. They're not even close to being able to put in the roof truss support systems. They have a long way to go before they're ready to do that. Much of the skeletal structure is still left to be put in here. They've decided to focus on the concrete mezzanine area and, fill in the areas below and basically build it from the ground up here and compensate for the fact that they don't have the proper steel shipments. That's really what all this is about. This is a story of a construction crew in a position where it has to compensate for the late arrival of steel, which still is obvious. This was supposed to look like this. This still doesn't look like this, okay? All right? So it's behind. My point is, just do it right. Why all this argument over the opening date? Just, again, a lot of you are not concerned about doing it right. A lot of you, I'm not sure what you're concerned about, but it's not about doing it right. It's not about the techniques of doing it. And then, and I don't mean disrespect, you have people saying, oh, the stadium is coming along well. Based on what? Just that you see something going up? I look at it and I think, okay, this area is now 8 months behind schedule. Talking about the area that I pointed to. I look and I say, hey, it's taken them almost 2 months to assemble that truss span on the side there. All right? And it's probably going to take them another 2 more weeks or 3. Okay? And at some point they're building it on the side. It looks a little amateurish to me. I'm just being straight on honest, okay? It looks like a piecemeal operation. We were supposed to see 1,400 people working on that construction site. And numbers of what, 700 or 900 at best? And they're taking Sundays off? You know what that tells me? tells me they don't have a lot to do because they don't have a lot of shipments for material coming in. And it also tells me they may very well have a money problem in terms of paying out monies to workers to get things done within a certain time frame. In short, this doesn't look good from the standpoint of those who are saying, hurry up and finish, hurry up and finish. My point is this: you have all of these problems in the supply. It's obvious they have these problems in the supply chain. It has been obvious for some time to anybody who knew what to look for. Just make sure they get it right. All right? John Akala says, and then there's not even mentioning a 2 or 3 month movement period. Right. I know there guy said, I saw some guy in the elevator going up and down about 6 today. Okay. He says, when I was driving, okay, but today is what? Friday. Great, they're working. Joseph M. Deere says, did the Las Vegas Stadium start the same time as Inglewood Stadium did? No, Inglewood was ahead of it by a year. John Davis says, I wish they would figure out somewhere to park nearby. Yeah, that's the other outstanding problem. Boy, oh boy. Ooh, my goodness. My goodness. So, and I think I missed a comment here where Joseph says, I saw a video with Rich Villotta on YouTube restating that article, but it seemed like he's just reading the Raider press release and not doing any investigation. They don't do investigations. That's what he does. He is paid to be a mouthpiece for the organization until the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Mr. Adelson, I need to check on his health, I hope he's doing better, decide otherwise. Because there was a time when Adelson just turned south on this project for a 4-month period after that February 26th of 2017, when Adelson said, I'm not going to work with the Raiders. The Review-Journal was nothing but negative. Scorched earth, all right? Then 4 months after that, they started to change and be positive, indicating that some kind of deal brokering had went on that said, hey, leave Mark alone or something like this, and you got the deal done. Because what happened was, first of all, they did get the NFL vote, which would not have happened if Adelson was still publicly in the picture. So I still hold to this day that was planned. I really do. Because everybody knows the NFL would not have voted at all. They would not have voted to let Sheldon Adelson be part owner of the Raiders as a gambling casino manager, all right? Period. Joseph says, what kind of journalism is that? Maybe that's how they generate dollars? Well, actually, it's not that. It's, in this instance, it's not that at all. It's, Adelson has put his money into it. It's the want of the Adelson family to make sure they are seen as proponents of this project that they started. And they want to drive public opinion for it. They have, and that indicates to me somewhere along the way they may have a monetary stake we don't know about. You have to remember something, the SB1, the Nevada legislation that gave rise to the project, also has in it a provision where they don't have to disclose financial details. Read the legislation, okay? So, John Akala says, and then they said the stadium is going to be substantially completed by August 4th. You can't play in a stadium that's substantially completed. Yes, but I've been saying, what is that? And see, they never ask the question, what does substantially completed mean? All right? What does that mean? You never see that spelled out. You never see that defined. What does that mean? Substantially completed, all right? What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay. I'm a blogger, not a journalist. I don't call myself a journalist because of situations like this. Because you have people who do call themselves journalists doing this. Now, in its purest form, okay, I think it's basically stupid to basically try to define oneself as a journalist, because really, all of you are journalists. A journalist is defined as a person who collects, writes, or distributes news and other current information to the public. That's it. That's the definition of a journalist. So from that cold definition, okay, I'm a journalist. Normal people are journalists. All right? I prefer to say I'm a blogger because I'm not objective. I come with a bite. All right? And I like the blogger way. And so you would say by that, what's the definition of a blogger, right? You know, be a good question. And a blogger is a blog publishing service that allows multi-user blogs. That's funny. There's two different definitions. Like, it's funny how Wikipedia has blogger for service, but not what a blogger does, okay? And so I should try what a blogger is. It's the first time I actually looked this up and found this kind of dichotomy. What do bloggers do? Then they have all these, okay, a professional blogger is someone who makes their living blogging, like me. Whether they monetize their blog through ads, blogging is their full-time job. The distinction between professional and hobby bloggers is important because of the rise in accessible blogging platforms. So let me make it really easy. Since it's so hard to find a simple definition of what a blogger is. A blogger, pure and simple, is a person who writes their own account about something on an internet-based platform, internet or mobile-based platform. That's what a blogger does. Okay? It is your account, your take. But everybody knows it's your position. It's not like they expect you to be objective. They don't. They come to you because they believe that you're going to give them, as the blogger, the honest skinny from your point of view. You're not going to pretend like you have somebody else's. Okay? But the bottom line is that what a blogger does is born of the internet. You're doing it on the internet. You're doing it on mobile. You're not doing it in print. That's not blogging. All right? Joseph Emmender says, and a blogger can give her his opinion. The difference between a blogger and a vlogger is I'm doing the same thing, but I'm doing it through video on the internet, internet-based. All right? That's it. That's it. Okay, so there we are. All right. So, as far as where the stadium is, I have to be honest and candid with you. I don't think anyone really knows. They know they're behind because they have this supply problem. And so what they're doing is they are just quite literally waiting out. They're just playing through. In other words, we don't know when this ship is going to come in. We'll deal with steel. We'll deal with it when it does. But our cover story is, oh, this date is going to be done. But in point of fact, with this delay problem, they don't know because it's been around for so long. And then, of course, the weather has gotten in the way. And then there's the money issue. And there's the labor issue. Okay? So they really don't know. I mean, yeah, they'll finish sometime in 2020. But I'm telling you, folks, that thing is not going to see a preseason. All right? There you go. Now, who could you... Here's a way you possibly could play the 2020 season in Las Vegas with all those problems. And that's this. You front load the away games for the Raiders, okay? And the Raiders have had situations in the past, I remember, where for scheduling reasons, because of baseball, they didn't come to the Coliseum until like the 4th game of the season. So if you know that the stadium is not going to be really done, okay, until October or late December, then you just design the schedule that way so that the Raiders play their away games up front, like 3 or 4, and then they come to Vegas. See, if that's done, then yeah, you could see the 2020 season. I can see that. I can see that. Under that circumstance, I can see that. But this talk about, well, the opening game is going to be in September, and it's going to be all these front-loaded games, you know, they need to stop that. They really need to stop that. Okay? The question for the Raiders is, do they want to go through without, how are they going to handle the preseason? Do you want to go on the road through the preseason? You know? Do you want to substantially wait out the season like that and then play late? I mean, those are questions the Raiders have to answer for themselves. They'll have enough time. They don't need to answer it to this year. Just let things proceed, okay? Because there's a lot about this stadium they have to make sure works. It's you know, that whole automatic bring the field in, bring the field out deal. Making sure that the roof tile is appropriately painted over so that when you test it for lighting, it's not creating this hot box. All that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to consider. All right. Joseph Mender says, about a month ago, he brought up Darrell Henderson from Memphis State. He ran a 4.3 at Combine. The Raiders met with him yesterday. Your thoughts on him? He'd be a great addition. I mean, I'm all for, and I got the impression that Jon Gruden was all for speed. I mean, he should be. All right. I hope John's watching tonight. John, make the Raiders as fast as you possibly can. John Davis says, how do you blog? You mean what platform do I use? I have 98 blogs, 4 of them WordPress blogs, and the other 96 are on Blogger blogs. I use, but primarily when I blog, this is what I'm doing. I'm using video. The video becomes a blog post. John Acala says they should just wait until 2021 and get the stadium built right. Why not? Okay, so folks, on that note, it is 10:02 at night, and I am going to bid you all adieu. 10:02, I'm going to bid you adieu. And yeah, 10:02, I'll bid you adieu. I'll be back Sunday with a special guest. Preliminarily, Oakland Mayor Elihu Harris will be my special guest Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Pacific, right here. Good night, everybody. Well, on this channel, not necessarily right here. See ya. All right. Hey, Patrick, I did not. I have to double check that. Thank you. Did you do that today? Just now? Thank you for the investment. Did you do that today, just now? Yes or no? So I can update the files and get you the necessary information. Waiting for your answer. Yes. Okay. Then I'll find out when I get off there here. Okay. All right. Thank you all very much. You have any tips? Let me know.